Hello, Wade Cox here, and welcome to the Ski with Wade podcast. I've been involved with this sport of water skiing for over 40 years now. I was fortunate enough to be a professional, and now I'm a full-time water ski coach. Today's guest and I will be talking about water skiing. We'll also be talking a little bit about travel and maybe a little about life as well. Thanks for joining us today. Ski with Wade, cut more rope. Hey guys, welcome to Ski with Wade podcast. Wade's World is so extremely excited. My guest today is Camille Duvall.
Hi Wade, thanks for having me.
This is super exciting. In fact, when I had your brother on, I got definitely the most comment or feedback back from any of my podcasts, and it was overwhelmingly two questions. When are you going to do Camille? And will there be a Sammy part 2? And I'm like, well, no offense to Sammy, but I've already done Sammy. Yeah, I'm moving on. So this is unbelievable. One of these things that sort of triggered that when this happened in the year 2000. So that's roughly 6 years after Camille retired from her water ski career. Sports Illustrated, which was the mothership of sports, rated you as one of the greatest female athletes of all time.
Well, of the century at that point in time.
Of the century. Yes, my bad.
I would like to be of all time, but
there wasn't a whole lot before back in the 1800s.
There were not.
So excuse my error.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. No, that was really an honor, and it was great to be on that list with my friends Jackie Joyner-Kersey and Steffi Graf and
Nadia Comaneci. Very household names.
Yes.
So wow.
Yeah, thank you.
So 43 pro Coors Light titles. Are they slalom titles?
Well, there's probably a few jump ones in there.
I was going to say, and I spoke with your little brother, so I've got it written over here. When you called and I see Camille Duvall on my, man, that is so legit. And then this morning, Sammy Duvall, he says, call me. I'm like, so, okay. So he said, bring up that you're a great overall skier, not just this slalom goddess, as you were known as the golden goddess.
That was a Sports Illustrated tag too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's from our producer. She threw in a few questions. So 15-time U.S. national champion, 15 gold medals, man. That's strong. 5-time Pro Tour champion in slalom. It's from 84 to 88. Because I remember like it was yesterday, there was this, we'll sort of get to this, your psyche, your sort of gamesmanship at the time. But it was next level. 5-time master champion, which for a lot of skiers, if you get invited to Callaway Gardens to a Masters, it's a huge honor. So to be a 5-time champion there, and then 1985 World Slalom Champion.
Right. Yeah. In Toulouse, France. Yeah. Fun.
So I sent out a couple feeler texts, and this one came back from a certain Christy Overton Johnson, who was on the 1985 team, and she said I was a young 15-year-old rooming with a superstar.
Oh, that was so sweet. And look at what she's done. I mean, her resume is probably better than that. You know?
So no, that was really cool because next thing on my list here was when I saw you in Sports Illustrated. And not for the record in the back or, some little mention, honorable mention. And no, you and your brother had like a 4-page layout or so.
Yep. And actually that was shot at the Masters, funnily enough.
I remember seeing the picture of you and your brother on the beach in your bathers.
In our bathers. And it was funny because that was really the first time that Sports Illustrated had ventured fully into water skiing. And of course, I'm tricking great, slaloming great, and the first thing I do is crash on my first jump. Bite my tongue, blood's going everywhere. I'm like, this is great. Sports Illustrated is here. Jack Walker's picking me up out of the water. Breathe. I'm like, oh God. Anyway, whatever. Murphy's Law.
So hey, but before we get back to that, this will be on my SkiWithWade.com after it airs, and I have a YouTube channel, so please subscribe to that. That'd be awesome. Also on my website will be my tour dates. You can check out any merch. I got cool towels now, stickers, so what have you. And then also any of my tour dates. So I'm traveling around too. So anyway, check it out. So so my producer sends me this little list, and I was like, you know what? I've just got to start with this. We're sort of in this world now that everybody get their feelings hurt. So hopefully you won't get your feelings hurt with this. But we just talked about Sports Illustrated. What was it like being a sex symbol? Like really, like you're the superstar athlete, yes, but yeah, more than that, there was another layer to it that a lot of people don't experience.
Well, I think you have to look back at that time and think about how many sports were professional women's sports. Tennis, golf, water skiing. That was, that's kind of it.
Exactly.
And, I'm in a bathing suit and they're not. So that sort of is right there. And as we all know, water skiers, all water skiers are terribly fit and, yeah, so really great fit. So yeah, it was a nice thing, but I really did prefer to be known for my skiing skills and my brains and the things that I've accomplished for my sport, not just in my sport.
No, I love that answer because I've got something else that I can go ahead and check off the list. Well, what would be your message to young female athletes?
Young female athletes, be yourself. You have so many opportunities right now that I didn't have growing up, and thank you Title IX and Billie Jean King. Those things are really important to women's sports across the board. But you have opportunities in all kinds of things, whether it's snowboarding, snow skiing, water skiing, you name it, it's available to you. And there's so many women, like I love to mentor young girls in anything I'm doing, whether it's real estate, which is my career now, or water skiing, or horseback riding, any of those kinds of things. So find a mentor and the world is your oyster.
No, I love it. So let's go back to the very beginning. Do you remember when you first started skiing?
Yes, I do. It's a crazy story. My parents met on a water skiing date in the 50s. We owned a lot on Saluda Lake in Greenville, South Carolina. Didn't have the house yet, but we had the dock. And so my mom and dad were avid tournament skiers, and I was 4, and my grandfather had given me some skis, and they were like, you're going to learn to ski today. I'd get up and I'd ski about 10 feet, and I'd just drop the rope. My dad was like, no, you're supposed to hold the rope. And I'm like, okay. So I skied 10 feet, and he came back and said, you really need to hold on to the rope. That's the purpose of this. And I was like, no. And he said, if you don't hold on the rope, I'm going to leave you here. I didn't hold on to the rope. He left me there, and so I guess that was the part of my stubbornness for my sport, maybe. It
started early.
It started early, yes, very early. Yeah.
So, first national title. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Oh, very vividly. Actually,
no.
Very.
A lot of us, we do have good and bad memories from. Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. My good friend and rival in foil, Dina Mappel, and I, and Pam Folsom back in that day, were all sort of neck and neck going into the nationals in Petersburg, Virginia. A really great place to ski. And so I'm not sure this has ever happened since then, but Dina and I tied in slalom, broke a national record for junior girls, by the way. So I must have been 12, maybe. She won the runoff. We tied in tricks. I won the runoff. The week before, I had just broken the national jump record, which was 86. I jumped 87. And so she goes out and she jumps 90. And for any you national competitors, you're sitting down in the hole waiting for your time to go. And I look up at the boat driver and I was like, they're like going crazy I haven't had a chance to jump yet. Can they just wait for a second? So I go out and bang off a 94. And so I win the national overall title and jumping and the record. But that was like a fierce competition.
Oh, wow. No, that's a great story. Hey, so we're at Camille's real estate office that she was a part of the conceptual sort of visibility, the image of the building itself.
Right.
Well, we got real estate over here. You've already mentioned it. You've been more than 30 years now in the real estate business?
25 years in the real estate business, 15 in Manhattan as a selling broker. Then I moved into management, and I started coming out here for vacations, really, really loved it. Met a person from Sierra Sotheby's, and they were like, we're interested in a new manager. Would you consider? And so I met the owners of the company, and that was October. Had a signed contract in November, and I moved here in December of 2018, and I love it.
So we would have given you the other view, but we were a little bit worried about the light, but we're sitting looking out onto a golf course.
It's not bad. North Star's right behind us.
Yes, the North Star Snow Ski Resort is literally right on the other side here, so which I've vacated here before, and it is a fabulous part of the country.
It is.
Like,
It's
I'm
beautiful.
jealous because you get to live in where everybody else vacations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah. I mean, my paddleboard's in the back of my car. I'm an inflatable. So if it's nice and I have an hour, I'll jump
No,
out and
I
do that
love
really
it.
quick.
So let's talk about how it sort of progressed from between the first national title and being on the U.S. water ski team in 1975, and you must have just been a baby.
I actually had my 14th birthday at the team trials there. So yes, I was a little baby, and there's
So that's like a gymnast sort of story when you're 14 years old and you're competing against all of a sudden the best of the best. 21, 25-year-olds.
Yeah, absolutely. But, my dad was an interesting, I wouldn't be where I am without my mother, my dad, and my brother. Have to say
Same
that.
here.
Props.
Yes.
Family makes
Yes.
it work for you. But my dad was smart enough to bring in, and I was lucky enough to get to ski with all of the greats. And so he brought in Linda Giddens, Liz Allen, Ricky McCormick, Bob LaPointe. We all had them at our ski lake skiing with us. So I had already been in that company, skiing with them and having fun before I got to that tournament.
Right.
So there's a lot less shaking in your boots with that. But I skied really well and probably didn't, you're a dumb 14-year-old. What do you know? It's like, oh, let's go ski. Oh, I'm on the team. That's awesome.
No, same. Huge shout out to my mom and dad who said, I need to go ski against the best of the best. And yeah, it was, I was super, super fortunate. So 14 years old, you go to the world championship. So that is just unbelievable. Yeah, like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, it was really cool. It was at Thorpe Park in London. And actually, I was an alternate to the team. And but I floor ran all of the events there, which was great for me.
Right,
and if you had factored my score in, I would have won some medals. So.
Oh, well, very cool. So let's talk about that. I've got written here, and you've already named her. When I got to go to the Masters a few years ago for the 60th anniversary, I got to spend the weekend with Liz Allen. And it was really cool because I got invited to her tournament when I was a little kid and I won the Nationals. That was your ticket to the Superstars. So she was just when she passed away earlier this year, I looked at her records, and over a 10-year period, it was astounding what she won.
Astounding.
I mean, she won everything multiple times. So she set the bar high for you, right?
She did. And, when I was talking about mentors for little girls, she was my mentor growing up. And not only in water skiing, but in life, too.
A blonde goddess and another blonde goddess. Yes.
Oh, thank you. But, she just, life lessons, not just about skiing. And she was a great friend. And, I'm sorry that she's not with us any longer. That was very, very, very sad for all of us. But, yeah, she set the bar very, very high for all of us. And I'm glad to be able to follow in her footsteps.
Well, so let's, you already mentioned your father, and we talked about this briefly on the phone yesterday because I was sort of putting when my phone went Camille Duvall, I'm like, yes! Yeah, I was putting together my timeline, and I got a chance to go to my first Nationals in 1980 in Tyler, Texas, and you weren't there.
Right. Yep.
I'm like, well, I saw Sammy, Carl, Bob. My other three, but there's no Camille. So tell us about that.
Well, I took a couple of years off from skiing when I was 18. I was really burned out from the sport, quite honestly.
Sammy mentioned an injury as well.
I had a knee injury, and it was hard to kind of come back from that. But I think back on those times, and I remember going to Liz Allen Ski School when I was, 14 or 15 maybe, and I went out and I skied 6 times in the morning. 2 and 2 and 2 of everything, came in for lunch. She goes, so you're resting this afternoon? I'm like, no, I've got the other 6 to do in the afternoon. Yeah. So she's like, no, we need to change that. But I think that was part of it. I mean, whatever. It's the 10,000 hours. Well, there was more like 300,000 hours on that one. Yeah, exactly.
So, but Sammy talked about that because I sort of gave him a chance. I said, was there anything you want to get under her skin about it? He goes, no, she's my big sister. And I was like, oh, I love love that. And he goes, but on that timeline, he goes, that time away. He goes, he is for sure that changed your sort of mental fortitude. It's sort of, you had to survive at something else.
Yep.
And then you came back, and he mentioned Chuck D's again, same as you did yesterday. And he mentioned that sort of elevated you back to where you were doing exactly what you were born to do, and now you're just going to go and do it.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I'll tell you a quick little story. Sammy called me. I was living in Tampa at the time, and Sammy was skiing at the McCormick Cup over there, which I love skiing at that place. And he said, come over, watch a tournament, no big deal. And so Chuck D's was
because he said you just disappeared.
I was done.
It's like my big sister, like my training partner for life, and she just vanished. You know?
It was needed though. I think it was really needed. And Chuck D's was there, and he's like, "What are you doing these days?" And I'm like, "I have another job." And he's like, "Well, I need someone at the ski school. Can you come on over and start working with me?" And I was like, "Maybe." And he goes, "Well, you know what? Thoroughbred horses were born to run. You were born to ski. Get your ass to Lakeland." So that's what I did. Sorry, get your ass to Lakeland. So that's what I did. And that was probably, I think that tournament was in May. And I went back to the Nationals, and I think I got third or fourth in DuQuoin. I can't remember, after a couple months of training with 2 years off. So yeah, it was fun, and came back. And then I guess the rest is history from that point. You know, I was skiing for myself. And I do remember that year, the team trials were at McCormick's, and I slalomed well, jumped well, or tricked well, and was jumping, and needed a pretty good jump to get on the team. And for those of you who remember, you ski into the starting dock there, and you spin around by it. And my father was standing on the end of the dock, and he was going like this, making a typing motion, because he always told me, well, if skiing doesn't work out, you can always get a job as a secretary.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah. That's old school tough love.
That's old school tough love. Yeah, yes, it is.
Well, so before I get sort of to the next part, I saw the other night on ESPN. It was a 30 for 30, or it was the Jordan series. Mm-hmm. But BJ Armstrong, because I know you're a baller and you follow sports, he said about Jordan, he goes, everybody else sort of came to play the game. Mm-hmm. Jordan came to win the effing game.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, you know, because it's the same. It didn't matter if you're playing quarters or playing cards. He had that in him. And Sammy said that, he goes, you had that in you. Because there was this sort of, he goes, it was great for him learning to be a winner, sort of going, well, my sister's just sort of born with that. I'm going to go win. That's what we're supposed to do. It's like, yeah, there's fun, but yeah. And I remember being as a kid on the tour, the ladies' slalom starting area was hostile. I mean, there was you, Dina, Helena, Jennifer Leachman, Helena Shalander, Susie Graham, and then there's like the little kids like Christy and me coming on going, man, I'm just scared to go to the starting dock. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I don't even want to ski. I don't even want to walk on the starting dock.
Oh, my God.
So talk about that sort of intensity through your career.
Well, I mean, you know, again, isn't it great to have those people to ski against? I mean, I'm friends with all of them now, but, you know, you get the rope in your hand, there are no friends. You've got to get out there and do your job. So that was really important to me. And I think the level of women's sport and the depth of the bench that came up in the 80s was crazy. I mean, again, props to all of those girls, because everybody raised the bar there. And I look at what's going on right now, and I see that bar being raised again, and I love it.
Yeah,
I watch all the podcasts, by the way.
Oh, yeah, very cool.
I'm a fan.
That's sort of listed as well, because my hero and then my little training partner, Ronnie, were two of the people that got to interview me a lot. And when I started doing those webcasts, I sucked at it. I'm getting yelled at by 20-year-olds that I'm not close enough to the mic. If you saw me make her mic adjustment, that's because I'm thinking of the guys yelling at me, move the mic closer. Or I'd have the mic turned off.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, I appreciate you watching. It's great when you and Gary give me a little, hey, we watched it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
So we sort of already hit on the 85 Worlds that was going to happen later. But the first time I really got to hang out with Camille, you may not remember it, but I certainly do. It was the flight over to Moomba in '85 was, you were on it, Carl and Karen, Karen Roberts being Carl's big sister.
Yeah.
Andy Mapple was on it. Mike Shaylander was on it. Lucky Lowe was on it.
Lucky Lowe.
Because,
yes.
Yeah. Some guy had Lucky's seat that was sitting next to you, and Carl made some rude comment because he had Herbie Hancock playing on his Sony Walkman really loud.
Oh my God.
So you and Carl's big sister give him a look like, Carl, just shut your mouth. So I was 16 years old. It was just unbelievable to be with all the people I'd read about in the magazines. So then the whole weekend goes down, and then I get to experience Moomba Monday. And that's not the finals during the day. That's the finals on the Monday night at the bar that turns into the discotheque. So anyway, there's pictures. I couldn't find them on my phone. I'm with Mark Beretta.
Oh gosh,
you know
yeah.
Mark, and Lynn Neville, who passed away. It's been 6 years now. So it's Bruce's big sister. So no, Mark and I probably should not have been there because we were 16. But anyway, I danced with you. It was like, yeah, I'm done. I danced with Carl's big sister Karen. The same deal. I'm like,
Oh my God.
I'm in heaven. Yeah. So.
Well, it was a really fun time, and again, I watching the water ski broadcast coming back from Europe, and I'm thinking how fun it was for those 70 people to travel around the world together. Maybe there wasn't 70, with the judges and drivers and all of that. And we went everywhere together, and we did everything together, and it was really fun. And what a great, world broadening experience to be able to travel like that and then do something you like. And I've never been one of those people who like airport, ski site, airport, home. I always wanted to do something else when I was out there.
And get to go hang with the locals, which
Exactly.
they always wanted to take us to a Paul Bocuse, are you kidding me? Or
Yes.
some place like this that they wanted to sort of show us a good time, and we were ready for it.
We were totally ready for it, always.
So fast forward a couple years, 87 Worlds. Now you've done a bunch of Worlds now on the U.S. team, and maybe this 87 Worlds is sort of like the peak of water skiing.
Yeah.
And then so I had your brother on. He sort of talked about it being the big sister involved, and now all of a sudden we're in the men's jump final at the Worlds. The team title, the overall titles are all on the line, and now a scrap breaks out on the start dock.
Interesting. Funny story. They, Sammy, obviously, we were very close. And so.
Ian Faulkner just said because there's way too many people on the dock.
There were way too many people.
No room. So
it's a small dock.
Yeah.
I was just hanging with Sammy, just whatever, trying to absorb some of the anxiety from him
exactly,
before he went out,
Because if we need to shoot the breeze, that's the best thing we can do.
Exactly. Someone that you know and you love and you can trust. So we were doing that, and one of the other coaches came over to me from the British team and grabbed me right here and said, "You need to get off the dock really hard." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm not getting off the dock."
And plus, you have a competitor's badge to be on the dock.
Correct. Yeah, too. And then this person wanted to, really square off with me, and I'm like, "A man is squaring off with me? Oh my God, really?" And then galloping across the lawn comes Bob LaPointe. And Bob LaPointe takes the coach like this and just pulls him completely off the dock. But, that is a testament to Sammy's mental fortitude, his ability to concentrate, because that was all designed
exactly.
It was designed to screw him up.
Any sort of element to throw things off kilter.
Yeah, and so then he goes out, and as we all see online, the world's latest cut, this scares the shit out of everybody when they see it, and he, breaks the world record and wins a tournament, and it's all good.
No, it was super cool to sort of be a kid getting to Jack Travers in like 85,
right.
84, 85. So now there's pro skiing and it's on TV, and there's all of these, like we already talked about the Australians, the women's field, the Australians were strong then, the Europeans were strong. So it was a great time to be a water skier.
It
right?
totally was. And I mean, I still think that we were lucky enough to be in the golden age of the sport, where we were on television every Monday night. We had a full national sponsored tour. We were going to Europe. We really did. It was the best of the best. And, you know, I think Orlando, obviously is still the hotbed for water skiing, but I think about those tournaments we used to have over on Lake Roper. So Bruce and Tony Neville skied with us, and Andy and Dina lived right down the street. They had rented my house over there. And so the six of us would just go out and we would just go at it like all morning. I mean, like this is like whatever, towering giants out there skiing with each other, but you're pushing the edge. I mean, you're skiing better than anybody else, but how'd you do that? Or, you know, what are you doing through the wakes right here? And, you know, it was a great learning experience, and I treasure those times because these are the people who are the point of the spear in leading the sport.
No,
Cool.
it was a super cool time because right here before I go to Marco. Yeah, you made $100,000 back in the 80s. You were the first female water skier to do so, and that's when a Mastercraft costs like what, 10G, 12G.
You're just talking about
a truck costs 10, 12, 15G. So yeah, $100,000 then was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and you know, I again feel very grateful to have been in that part of the sport, and I always was trained by my family, you know, and I wanted to. You want to give back to your sport, I mean, in whatever way you can, and so whether that was television or teaching skiing, or coming up with our own tour, you know, with the Pause Tour, because the skiers we went a different point system. Andy helped me work on that point system kind of thing for the Pause Tour, and it was a true great international tour. I mean, we went to Japan, we went to Europe. You were with us. We went to France, to Paul Bocuse in Lyon. You know, and that was really sort of what I envisioned our sport. But now, kind of all that went by the wayside over the years with all the different iterations of our sport with wakeboarding and wake surfing and that kind of thing. But I'm so happy to see that coming back in some way, even if it's just linked together by points. Yeah, it's amazing.
Right. Mm-hmm. So on another note, because you'll go, oh my gosh. So Mike Furrow helped me a bunch, and then Tommy Phillips.
Yep.
And they both convinced me that I needed to be myself, that I couldn't be like Andy, I couldn't be like Bob, you know, couldn't be like Carl showing up 2 skiers before you ski and not even knowing what the cut is and not worrying about it. No, man, I had to be there early, but I had to be relaxed. And we talked about, so I saw you, I was getting ready for it was maybe a Saturday round. It was at Shreveport. This would have been late 80s, early 90s. And the PA, Jerry Jensen, was going up there, and the music was going, and you were getting ready to ski, and you were dancing and like singing. And I was like, because I wrote her dancing at Shreveport, and you're like, oh, where's he going with this? Like, yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not talking about late night dancing. I'm talking about you were dancing like literally 4 or 5 skiers before you went out. And I thought, that's exactly it. She is having a blast. She's going to go into beast mode or whatever mode you want to call it when she gets on the water. But yeah, right now she's being Camille. She's not being somebody else because I'm nervous and so I knew, I watched you and I was like, yeah, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, you read all the psychology books and everything else, and you think I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And sometimes it doesn't matter. It's really about you and what you're thinking. And if it takes dancing to get to your happy place where you're level here, where you can go out, and that's great. And I remember Jack Walker was a great driver for us, and then also Bobby Long. And Bobby Long had this thing that we would do on the Coors Light tour. I would get a dirty joke the day before. So I'd walk into the dock, say, a parrot walks into a bar. And he'd be like, okay. Then we get to the other end of the course. And then the pirate walks into the bar, and we talk, give him a little bit more. And I always said, okay, when we get to 35 or 38, if you want the punchline, you got to give me a good pull. Right. Yeah, so that was always a fun thing. And, some people need to concentrate on what they're doing and all that. But for me, it was better just to relax my mind. I tend to be an overthinker.
No, for sure.
Being
for
relaxed.
Sure.
It was good.
Even at one of the big championships that I skied in, somebody said they were watching on the big screen, and they're like, "Dude, you were on the end laughing and talking with the driver."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's my buddy.
Yeah.
It was Al Rugger from Mississippi.
Yes.
We're in Europe. I was happy to have an American in the boat.
Sure.
This, English-speaking person,
Yeah.
because Worlds, I think it was a Worlds, and they're always a bit tricky. So I said, no, I've always, if the driver wants to chat, I always embrace that because it's that 30, 45 seconds when you're on the end, you're catching your breath. And then I read that Jack Nicklaus did exactly the same thing. As soon as he had a shot, he would start talking about Ohio State football to his caddy. Like we would talk about Tour de France.
Right.
And the tour is going on right now. I've been dying to talk about it.
Oh my God, I know. I get up and watch it every morning. July is like the greatest month of sports ever.
No, I know it. I know it. Everyone else watches what I deem now slalom porn, where they're bringing me up these little videos going, hey man, can you watch my gates? Or do you think this guy does his gates right? What do you think of him? And so I saw because I watch so much cycling that I saw this cycling meme, I guess it was, and it has the guy sitting there at his laptop and he's supposed to be working, but he's watching the tour. And the lady's on the phone with one of her girlfriends, and she says, I wish my husband would watch normal porn like the other guys do. And I'm like, no, that's me. I just watch cycling. When I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, I can't go to sleep. You just flip it on, and I'm like, right back to sleep. It works great. Yeah. So we covered that topic. So one more topic before we get back to business, because your little brother said to me, man, I bet there's a whole bunch of dudes that would love to be sitting there with you this morning. and they're like, that Wade Cox guy, wow. Okay, so I had one of those moments, the O'Brien poster. It was you, Crystal Point.
Oh, the Untouchables.
Jeff Carrington.
Yes.
Andy Mapple, Jeff Carrington. I can name all the villains, and it was the most badass. There it is, the Untouchables, you're all dressed as gangsters.
All dressed as gangsters. Great poster. It was done by the Kostakis brothers. And in fact, I'm still in contact with them, which is like really cool. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was
1,000%.
unbelievable, yes.
And then someone told me, and I have to go in and look, but there's a delicatessen at the bottom of Squaw and out of the village. And that poster's in the back because, as you know, Bob LaPointe lives in Truckee, California also. So we've got some water ski people.
But we're actually in Truckee.
We're in Truckee, California right now. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just had the Barracuda last week here as well. Yeah.
Well, that's what Glenn Plake, another local, he said to me, hey, leave stuff with them everywhere you go. Plake's all out of control. And it's true because I still see those O'Brien posters in lockers, going to a boathouse, and I'm like, there it is, yeah.
Well, the funnier one, actually, and I think my friend Harold Cole, who Sammy and I went to high school with, he's a show skier from up in Wisconsin, they did a cutout of me with the ski on fire, and that was before GCI. So Tom and I had to figure out a way to light the ski on fire and not burn up at the same time. So we had glue, we had all different kinds of things, and that was really fun. And those posters are everywhere. And in fact, somebody sent me a picture of someone. I don't know why they'd still have it because the ski is so old, but he's got it under his arm, and he's in a snowstorm in Toronto walking somewhere with this poster of a girl in a bikini and a ski on fire. Yeah. So kind of fun, yeah.
Well, so let's talk about that being this goddess and all of the above, and then all of a sudden you moved to New York City. Mm-hmm. I mean, Florida wasn't big enough for you had to go to the Big Apple. Right?
The Big Apple. Yeah, I had a couple of chances to go up to New York City with the Women's Sports Foundation, which is Billie Jean King.
And you did a ton of stuff for women's sports in general. Sammy said, please bring that up. I said, yes, it's in my notes. Yeah, thank you, because I have a daughter that's an athlete. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's important to show women that it's okay to, it's okay to get dirty. It's okay not to have makeup on. It's okay to have your hair wet straight out of the lake. It's okay, this is your thing. Don't worry about it. So, but I had a few chances to go up to New York, and I really liked it. And at the time, I was working in television and for the Coors Light Tour, and I was trying to branch out and do some other things. And met my husband on the tour, or well, not on the tour actually, at the boat show in Atlanta. Moved to New York full time, had 2 kids, Gabby and Alexander. And if someone had told me a South Kakalaki girl who grew up on a farm would be living in New York City and raising her children there, I would have laughed. But it was a great experience, and I do love New York. I mean, it's an amazing place. And
30 years, Sammy said you were there.
30 years.
Yeah.
30 years I was there. Yeah, it was great, and I got to go to NYU through their broadcasting program.
No, that's it. That's what my producer said. Make sure and ask her about all of her broadcasting and journalism career.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was very lucky. I was the world's oldest intern when I was working at Madison Square Garden Network.
It's kind of like me at the TWBC now.
Oh my God. But I was working for the Madison Square Garden Network, which is no longer in existence, but it was stationed at the Garden. So you got all 3 hockey teams, all 3 basketball teams. I mean, it was everything. I covered the Yankees. I got to do everything. It was pretty amazing. And then I covered the X Games and center ice for NHL, which was really fun. And then I had a show on ESPN called Men's Journal.
I remember that.
Yeah, kind of one of the first sort of travel adventure shows. And in fact, my partner Don Wildman's still on the air. He has a really cool show on the History Channel. But that was really fun. And we would go all over the world doing these crazy things, like whitewater rafting the Fuda La Fou. I took my scuba diving certification in Belize.
That is awesome.
I mean, it was just it was really crazy.
Yeah.
But we were mountain biking, slick rock riding in Utah, and Don decided he was going down the Devil's Staircase, broke his collarbone, so that made me have to do the hang gliding and all of the other things. In fact, poor Don knocked himself out inside a climbing gym, so I had to be the athlete of the couple. It was fun.
Well, so let's talk about 2 things that were really fun and then maybe not so much fun at the same time, because I wrote them down together because they happen together. Pregnancy and pause.
Oh, God.
So you take one.
PAWS.
Yes. I'm going to start this pro tour and then at the same time get pregnant. Yeah. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I mean, again, circling back to Billie Jean and Anita DeFrance and Donna De Verona. I mean, all of those people who were amazing and sort of showed me the way. And I was like, oh, this can be done. And had a lot of help from my ex-husband, Byron Hero. He helped me with that, come up with the money. I lived next door to Bill Plumundon, who's the chairman of the board of Budget Rent-A-Car. And so voila, the tour was born. We had live television, which was amazing, until all of the signs break loose and they're whipping through the salon. Just everything that could go wrong would go wrong on it. But we had a lot of fun, and we went to Japan and we went to Europe and we went all over the place. It was great. And then, I found out I was in London doing the pre-press for the tournament there, and this guy was driving me around, and I had morning sickness really bad. And he said, pardon me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have 12 children. Do you think you need to stop by the chemist? And I was like, oh my God, probably. So in the middle of the tour, I find out I'm pregnant. So we go from there to Lyon. And so I called my doctor, and she's like, hey, just do whatever you do on a normal day. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. So that was in the days we would shoot the tournament, voice it over, and then they'd send it back for Monday night. She saw that on Monday night, and she called my mother, and she said, I didn't say she could water ski jump. I said, do what you normally do. And so when I called her back, I was like, that's what I normally do every day. So, yeah, it was kind of crazy. So 2 things blended together, and I skied until my 5th month of pregnancy. And my last tournament was in Toronto up there. So, kind of crazy.
So you already mentioned a few names, but when I just say Dina Mapple, what do you think? What comes to your mind?
Oh my God. I mean, we spent our whole lives together. I mean, literally from that very first story I told you, and even earlier, prior to that, she was a California skier, and I was an East Coast skier. So there used to be the regionals used to be a big deal, and there's a lot of...
And it wasn't that cool. There was no internet. There were no rankings lists like they have now. You would hear about this kid from Cali or this kid from the East Coast. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yes, absolutely. It was all word of mouth, so I'm sure the legend was bigger than what was going on. but I'd come out a few times. My dad would bring me out to ski against her, so that was fun. And then, obviously intense rivalry. But, when we were on the U.S. ski team, a lot of the worlds, Dean and I would go out and just crush it in the first 2 days. The guys didn't have to do anything. We basically won the team for them. Just go out and ski. We've got this for you. So it was fun.
So, well, let's talk about that, the teams that you were on. Mm-hmm. So I can think maybe at one point would have been you, Dina, Karen Roberge, mm-hmm. Carl, Sammy, Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, all 6 skiers that are legit 3 eventers, not
right.
People like me that became specialists.
Right.
Because there was a professional side of the sport. The sport hadn't really evolved, so everybody was still 3 eventing. So I think it improved your skill set as well, didn't it?
Definitely. I think to be able to do all 3 sports. However, as they changed the team overall scoring, that forced us in the U.S. to go back and look at how can we still win, because we didn't lose. The U.S. never lost a world championship, I think, until 1991. Maybe?
I was going to say about 91.
Yeah, I mean we won every team, but
we were undefeated.
Undefeated.
Yes,
undefeated. Yes. Totally. And but like in 1977. I was just looking at a picture of that the other day. So there's Cindy Todd, Chris LaPointe. Chris was not tricking or jumping at that time. Bob was still jumping. Corey Picos, I was 17, so Corey was like 13 or 12.
It was 13 or 14 by the time he was at the World.
Exactly. So. And then and Mike Siderhout, who's like a great hero of mine and from out here in California. And that was really my sort of first Worlds to actually win a medal. And I think I was 3rd overall, 3rd in tricks. I used to trick. I didn't get a medal in slalom. I got a medal in jumping. And so the first thing they called was the bronze in tricks. And we're in this big, beautiful auditorium in Italy, in Milan. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to walk down there by myself. This feels really bad. And I was sitting next to Mike. He's like, come here. He gets up, motions me to come out, tucks my hand under his arm, and escorts me to the stage to get my bronze medal. Now, isn't that a gentleman? He's just, I love that guy.
That's cool.
It's a
very cool story.
Yeah.
So the next, well, we've obviously already brought his name up, but what did Bob LaPointe, when I say that name, what does that mean?
Oh my gosh. I mean, he was winning the tour as much as I was in slalom. So there's definitely a lot of, we skied together a lot, traveled together a lot, like
and shared the same ski sponsor with O'Brien?
Exactly. And Andy was with O'Brien with us also. So yeah, I mean, it was just, again, you're out there kind of on the edge of things. We're doing things where people had not done them before. So whatever you do is either it's right or it's wrong. You never know. It'll work or it won't. So, but, felt good to have that support through all those years, in that kind of way. Yeah.
And then the last of the people was your little brother, Sammy Duvall. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Sammy and I grew up skiing, oh my God, I mean, from day one. And just, he made me better than I am, every single day of my life. I think I said that in my Hall of Fame speech, and that's true.
Which was 2003? Correct? Something like that?
Yeah.
No?
Don't ask me.
Siblings both in the Hall of Fame? Yeah,
Thank you.
That's very cool.
Thank you. But no, I mean, again, that was also a person, you're sitting there every day slaloming and you're like, okay, well, that looks right or this looks wrong, but they know you inside and out. And it's like amazing to have that kind of partner, throughout your career, even as you get older. Although he still can't figure out why I've gone back to ski for recreation now.
Well, so let's talk about that, the retirement. What sort of triggered it? Was it an injury? Was it burnout? Or was it, hey, I can go be a mom and...
Well, I had Alexander, and as many of the girls are doing now, and I skied on the tour with him. And like, here, Sammy, hold this for a minute, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I mean, I was 33, and we kind of done everything the sport was going to do, and I was like, okay, I'm going to retire this year, and coming up into the 94 season, and I was training with Jack, and I was just like crushing it all winter. I mean,
you were jumping out of your mind.
I was jumping in like the low 60s, and that was on short skis on a 5-foot ramp.
Yeah.
So
you're the only person that looked almost as awkward as Mike Shaylander and I on little skis.
God, I know. I feel like a scarecrow out there, you know. But yeah, it was. If it had bigger skis, and I think Sammy talked about in his interview with Carl that once the skis got a little bit bigger, for a bigger person, it just made your whole life
change the sport.
Change the sport. Definitely changed the sport. But so I was skiing really well, and I was running 38 and into 39 at Jack's in the middle of the winter, and I'm like, okay, I am ready. This is gonna be a fun summer. And I was going down to the Atlanta Boat Show, and I was getting on the plane, and I lost part of my vision, kind of across. It was like a Picasso painting. And I called my doctor just because this is really weird. And she's like, go directly to the hospital. And I was having some kind of stroke. And yes, but thank goodness, you're in top flight condition, and I was able to come back from that and lead a normal life. But I had to stop skiing that day.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of a bummer not to get the last.
No, for sure.
But to be able to go out, winning. I think the last year, I don't think
You were ranked number 1 in jump.
Yeah.
Number 3 in slalom.
Right. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you.
Yes. I did my homework, Sammy.
Yeah. So that was that was really a bummer, and you don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd still go to the lake, and Sammy's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I don't know what else to do with myself, really." So it was kind of tough because it's just so unexpected. And it wasn't like, oh, you hurt your knee or you hurt your back and you're feeling that physical pain. It just wasn't. I felt great. So kind of a bummer.
Well, so we've talked about your TV career, your real estate career, where you're at one point ranked the 4th best real estate agent in New York City.
Boy, I wish it was New York City. It was in my company, but my company's a top company.
That from in the number 1 company in Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very competitive market.
I can understand.
Just like sports. Yeah. And so I just approached it the same way.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So after all these years, what do the Hall of Fame we just talked about, in the opening we talked about what do those accomplishments mean today after you've had success at other things? You've been a mom, right?
Well, it's funny.
Because it's almost like it happened to someone else, right?
Yeah.
I feel exactly the same when people ask me. I'm like,
weird. When I was moving out here, I was gathering up I didn't have any of my trophies on display. They were in a box. Wow. And I pulled them out, and I was like, God, this looks like it's been on some pirate ship. It's all green and gross. And dusty. It was the Masters Cup, from slalom. Yeah. So, and, all the medals are just thrown in there and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's almost like it happened to somebody else. And quite frankly, it's not something I don't lead. Hi, Camille Duvall, world slalom champion. No, that's silly. Yeah. I want to be known for my business acumen, what I can do, and how I can help my clients. And then if they find out that I'm a skier after that, that's kind of cool. It's like the cherry on top.
No, it almost really is. Yeah. It's happened to me quite a few times when I saw your little brother do this. He said, "Hi, my name's Sammy." He didn't say Sammy Duvall. Mm-hmm. He didn't say Sammy Duvall, world champion. No. And it was just to some regular guy. And I'm like, man, that's really cool because that guy doesn't know that that's the baddest dude on the planet. And as soon as Sammy walked off, his buddy goes, and the guy's like, oh, he was so nice, though. Yeah. And I'm like, good. That's the same deal. I wrote that down. That's what, if someone will do that with me, I'm like, yeah. So I hear that, and I'm like, oh, that's very cool.
Well, we grew up in the South. We're a Southern family. We're from South Carolina, and manners are very important in that walk of life. And also, I think, our parents instilled a certain humbleness in us as well. I mean, I'm on the U.S. ski team, and I'm out pulling weeds in that garden because that was my job, and Sammy had to take out the garbage, you don't get it off just because of that.
I went from being with my mom and dad to being with Jack and Leilani,
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, you want to get ski rides? Go cut grass.
Yeah, scrub the toilet. Yes. Mm-hmm. I did that, too.
So last thing, and then we're going to close.
Let me just go back to Jack and Leilani.
Okay.
It's so hard to mention everybody in this who's helped you. But Jack and Leilani, amazing. Again, part of that, work hard, get it done kind of thing. And Jack is just, an amazing genius. Leilani is such a grounding force in that whole deal. And then I also want to circle back to Marco, who was very much like that as well. Marco Bettesini, Sammy and my training partner for years and years and years on Lake Roper. I still go back and ski with him when I go there. And again, it's hard to get everybody in give the props and gratitude that everybody should get for all the help.
So Leilani, I sent a guy to you yesterday. I skied with him over in Colorado, and he sends me a text. Where should I go? And I said, yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
I said, you'll meet all these fantastic people, and it's got a good vibe, and that's what people want. People to meet and stories to tell. And that's what Jack and Leilani give.
Yeah.
And then to Marco, who was sort of we were like B teamers when you and your brother were A teamers. So when I moved to the east side and I was skiing with Carl, because we had the same competitions, you know, Brett Thurley, Carl, Christy Overton, it was throwdown slalom sessions every Wednesday. Everyone would just show up at my house and it was game on. So I would need a break. So when I was at maybe my second year with HO, and now I had my skis have gone from pink to like fluoro, yellow, and green. You remember those?
I do.
And so I came over. I don't know if you remember this, but I skied with you and Marco.
Yeah, I do remember.
Sammy was done, and so I showed up. And he goes, have at it. I jumped in, and so I was like, this is too cool. Me and Marco had moved up in the world.
Well, Marco's just like, he's definitely a technician of the sport, but he's also like the mellowest person on the planet. So that for me, that was a really good kind of, again, grounding with all the other things she had going on. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
So lastly, what sports are you into these days? Like, how does sports still affect your life? We talked about the Tour de France. You and Gary go skiing, water skiing all the time?
All the time. And that's the great thing about where we live. We live in a resort area. So you've got winter sports, you've got summer sports. When I moved to New York, actually, I quit water skiing for 25 years, and I didn't start again until 2014.
No, I remember people were seeing you at the place you mentioned. Twin Lakes out in Monroe.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, there's an appearance. You know,
Jesus
like,
Christ.
She's back.
I'm out here skiing on Chance Lowe's. Lucky sent me up one of his like little 64-inch radars, and I'm like struggling, you know, getting like 5 at 35. I'm like, woo, this is great. So, hey, you know, you gotta have a little humility with what you're doing. But yes, so water skiing on these beautiful lakes where I live, on these reservoirs. I mean, you know, bald eagles are flying around grabbing fish, bears are running around the side. No Coors Light tour, it's great. And not really chasing buoys, but my goal is each summer that you do 100 really good turns. So you do 50 and rest and 50 and rest. And so, and you shorten the rope after whatever, your 20 turns. So yeah, it gets you in pretty good shape. So love that. Paddleboarding. And I took up snow skiing when I moved out here. I suck at it, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And I really like cross country skiing and rock climbing. I mean, pick a sport, you know. And I got us at a golf club, so you know. Hey.
So Wingirter's still taking care of you? Dave Wingirter?
Yes.
Okay, you good? You don't need a new ski?
Well, I heard the new one is really,
all right, I'm going to put him on the spot.
I heard this is really, really, really
right.
awesome.
No, there we go. Yeah, thank you so much, Camille. This has been so awesome. We got to go to breakfast with Camille on Donner Lake. I mean, I've never even heard of this place, and I already want to move there.
Oh,
you know,
good.
so it's just been my pleasure. Hey, thanks for watching and paying attention, guys. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to SkiWithWade.com for. You can see this. You can download all the other podcasts, the one with Sammy as well. You can check out my tour dates, merch, all of the above. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Ski with Wade, cut more rope. That's a wrap this week for Ski with Wade podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to email me at wade@skiwithwade.com or direct message me on Instagram or Facebook with any questions you may have. We'll cut more rope next week. Ski with Wade.